Should I signal right when waiting to pass this parked car? And what do the people who set the driving test in Great Britain have to say about it? The DVSA, they're the people who set the test. And under obstructions, which includes parked cars, they say signal if necessary. So I went to the section about unnecessary signals, and there they say consider if a signal is necessary before passing stationary vehicles when you can position early and maintain a steady course. So when exactly is it necessary to signal to pass stationary vehicles and other obstructions in the road? It depends. Is your signal actually helpful, or is it possibly misleading? Here are some examples. In this example, it's clear that I'm waiting for the oncoming bus. My position is not near the curb, it's near the middle of the road without getting in the way of oncoming traffic, and I'm staying back a couple of car lengths to maintain my view ahead. A signal to the right here isn't really going to help anyone. What I'm about to do is obvious. Similarly here, my position, along with the fact there is an oncoming car, makes it clear that I intend to continue once the car has passed. Waiting here with my right signal on will not be very helpful. In this situation, we are both committed to passing parked vehicles, so a signal is not going to help. I need to wait for the oncoming vehicle to move into the gap so that we can pass each other. And not long later, I have to do a similar thing with an oncoming van. There is a gap on the right, so I slow down and encourage them into that space. It's important that I don't cross over and try to use that space myself. That would cause confusion and is not a safe way of dealing with oncoming vehicles. It is something that some learners feel inclined to do as they try to get out of everyone's way. But remember, sometimes the oncoming vehicle needs to be the one who waits. Another example of me holding back a couple of car lengths and I'm near the centre of the road without being in the way. The moment the bus passes, I start to move. My actions were obvious given my position and the situation, so no signal was needed. I can see a large vehicle parked on the bend, so I approach it very slowly and carefully, expecting a vehicle to already be committed to passing the truck. Speed helps here. A signal would just be confusing. With this oncoming vehicle, I just use my speed. I don't need to stop or signal. Slowing down early means I reach the obstruction when the oncoming vehicle has already passed. I approach this line of parked cars slowing down to allow the oncoming vehicle to finish passing, as that would be the most safest, easiest and normal thing to do in this situation. However, they squeeze into a small gap to give way to me. As it looks like they may be trying to park, a right signal before they move away may be helpful to traffic approaching them from behind. I'm going slow near this gap in the parked cars just in case the oncoming vehicle doesn't let me finish. As soon as I see they are slowing down with a quick flash of their headlights, which on this occasion means they want me to go, I continue. This is the most likely outcome in this situation, and if there were many vehicles behind me, they would have to let us finish, as the gap in the parked cars wouldn't be large enough for all of us. However, be very careful with flashing headlights. It can mean multiple things and may be directed at someone else, but that's a different video. At first, there's no real reason for me to signal when waiting to pass this large van because, as I explained earlier in the video, my intentions are clear from my position. But just as I start to move, a pedestrian walks into the road towards the rear of the van. I'm fairly certain he isn't going to cross the road and that there will be space for me to continue. But just to make sure, I use my signal to discourage him from crossing. If he did cross, I would stop. But it's not a good idea to encourage a pedestrian to cross the road, particularly in this situation, as the van blocks their view of cars approaching from the other way. As this learner is parallel parking and the obstruction is on my side of the road, I need to wait in a position where oncoming vehicles will have space to come through once the learner driver is parked. Because the road is quite narrow, the difference between my waiting position and my parking position isn't as clear as I would like it to be. And as I have been waiting a while, vehicles behind may think that I'm parked. So in this situation, using the right signal before moving away will be sensible. What I do here is a slight movement forwards, as I know I'll be moving soon, and that wakes cars up behind that I'm not parked and that I'm ready to go. Then I signal right as I move away to make sure traffic behind and the learner driver know that I'm going. Even if the learner wasn't looking in their mirrors at that moment, the flashing orange light of the indicator is more likely to get their attention out of the corner of their eye. I would usually like to signal if I'm passing a vehicle that has just pulled over at the side of the road with a driver still behind the wheel, to make it even more clear that I intend to pass, just in case they're thinking about doing a maneuver or they want to open their door. But as there is a road on the right, my signal would be misleading. So instead, I pass carefully and at a lower speed than usual. I'm passing a large vehicle on a bend which is forcing me to be on the wrong side of the road, so I'm prepared for someone with low planning skills to be coming the other way too quickly. Fortunately, the driver of the black car is smart, has a low speed, and can safely let me finish passing the truck. An ambulance is approaching from ahead. When there is a suitable place to let the ambulance pass safely, I signal left and pull over to give them more room. Even though I haven't completely stopped, I'm aware that I may look parked. Therefore, I signal right so traffic behind and in front know I'm continuing. As I move forwards, an oncoming car moves into the area of road I would usually use. However, as the hatched markings have a broken bordering line and I can see it's safe to enter the area, I can use this area to continue if a lack of space means I need to. Because of the dark blue car on the right, I need to wait close behind this silver van to allow the oncoming white vehicle to pass behind me. As my position looks slightly parked and it's hard for me to see oncoming traffic and it's hard for them to see me, it's sensible that I signal right to try and make it clear that I'm trying to pass this parked van. However, a better thing to do would have been to wait before both cars to improve my view ahead and increase safety. Let's pretend I haven't seen the driver of this van walk away. As I'm approaching a vehicle with its lights on, I would normally assume there is a driver behind the wheel that may be planning to move away soon. Therefore, I will signal right just before I start to pass to help the driver know that they need to stay stationary. As I need to go really close to the parked vehicle here to see around the bend to check if anything is coming, other road users may think I'm parking. So in this situation, it's a good idea to signal right before passing the parked vehicles. If you see an oncoming vehicle passing multiple parked vehicles on both sides of the road, even if those vehicles are staggered, it may be better to let the oncoming vehicle finish passing before proceeding. Even though I'm a little bit close to this yellow parked car due to the situation behind me, it would likely be a bad idea for me to signal right whilst I'm waiting to pass this vehicle, because my signal would make it look like I'm turning into the road on the right. There is a low-powered moped very close behind me. I'm going to assume they have almost no experience and are a provisional driving license holder. It's not rare for this type of vehicle to overtake dangerously in slow-moving urban areas. Therefore, I will signal right before passing the parked vehicles to try and discourage them from overtaking. Changing the subject here, but this is a mistake many learner drivers make. When slowly emerging from a junction with poor visibility due to obstructions, keep looking left and right. If you only look one way, you'll miss what's coming from the other side. It's important not to signal carelessly. Before you signal, consider, is it actually helping anyone or is it misleading? If it's misleading, it's probably better not to signal because that may cause danger. Years ago, people were taught to signal more or less every time they passed a parked vehicle. I was not taught this. This is before my time. I learned to drive in 2004. I'm only aware of it because people have told me about it. But we do things, we learn from them, and we move on, hopefully for the better. Think about it. If you see a car driving down the road, what are you going to assume that driver's going to do when they come across an obstruction or a parked vehicle? You're probably going to assume that that driver's going to try and find their way around that obstruction. They're not just going to stop and stay there forever. Maybe they're going to park, but that's why it's important to signal to park, because no one knows when you're planning to park. Maybe they want to turn left or right into a branch road. Again, that's not obvious. There's no way to guess when a driver's going to do that, which is why it's important to signal. But it's pretty obvious that a driver's going to want to go past an obstruction when they find one in the road. If you signal every time you pass a parked vehicle, your signal becomes less useful because it stands out less. People are used to seeing right signals every time a vehicle is approaching another parked vehicle or an obstruction. So when that driver wants to actually turn right and they're signaling right, people are going to assume it's for passing the parked vehicle, not for turning right. If you avoid signaling when it's not necessary, your signal actually becomes more useful because it stands out more. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking for car insurance, check out the links to Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself on somebody else's car, then Collingwood are there for you because you can do so without affecting the owner's policy. And that takes away a big stress from the owner of that car. Via the link at the moment, it's up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card. If you want to insure your own car, I recommend checking out the link to confused.com because you fill out one quote form and get loads of quotes back from many insurers to compare who's cheapest. And you can change your car on that quote as many times as you like without having to do the whole quote again. So it's a quick and easy way to fill out one form and then switch the cars around to see how much it costs to insure different cars. Useful if you're shopping around for cars and want to know how much it costs to insure them. Using the links doesn't cost you anything, but it does support the channel, so thank you very much. Subscribe to get my future videos, and until the next one, cheerio.